Las Vegas, Nevada. We are at the half. Trinity University of Texas leads Framingham State 36-31. Glad you joined us here at the 13th annual D3Hoops.com Classic. I'm Patrick Coleman here at the half, and we're joined by Riley Zayas. First of all, Riley, you'll have to lean into the camera. They're not going to just lean in and say hi. Get a little bit over. You can see where you almost have to be in my lap. I apologize.
Yeah. No, Pat, thank you so much for having me on, though. It's been a fantastic D3 Hoops Classic so far, and certainly excited to see what unfolds in this game and the games to follow tonight.
Well, I'm very happy. You know, we've had 13 of these events, and you're really the first person of the Twitterati, who have come out here to actually see this event in person. So we're very happy about that.
Yeah, we need to get the rest of those guys out here because this is a fantastic event. I'm telling you, I mean, for anyone that loves Division III basketball, this is just games all day and great teams, competitive matchups. We've already seen a great one this morning, and another one's playing out right now. So certainly excited for it.
What else brings you here? Obviously, you know, as a person whose quote-unquote day job is to, well, probably go to school, and also cover Mary Hardin-Baylor, who's been here before but is not here this year. What brings you here to the event?
Correct. Yeah, Pat, I'm in the first year of working on a book on Division III basketball, highlighting, what makes this level so great and what makes it so special and unique. I think in the modern landscape of college athletics, Division III is really at a point where, it's true student athletes, right? And at the same time, I think, it's the largest division of NCAA athletics. You get the least covered probably, and, I think that needs to change. We have great athletes, great coaches, great programs, a lot of tradition and history at the same time. And so I think in doing this book, the goal is to showcase all of that, showcase what the different regions look like and how it all comes together really to form a fantastic division of college basketball that, we're treated to great games in March, but we're also treated great games in December. And throughout the year, we see these teams battling it out. And just in a lot of ways, Division III is the original model of college athletics. I think that's a big part of my thought process in starting this book, but also just being, engaged and getting into this whole thing over the last couple of years.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't argue with you about any of those descriptions of NCAA Division III, right? The original intent of college athletics was this pure amateurism, and, in as much as it's anywhere in college sports anymore, it still exists at the Division III level. What made you decide to do a book? There are so many ways, obviously, to, bring these stories to life. You already have a platform that does that. We have a platform that does that. Your book doesn't compete with us, so that's awesome, but I want to know more about why a book.
Yeah, and Division III Hoops, D3Hoops.com is going to be included in that book with all the work that you guys have done. But yeah, I was reading John Feinstein's book, The Last Amateurs in the Patriot League.
Yes.
And this was several years ago. Loved the book, and interestingly enough, in his introduction, he actually talked about considering doing a book on Division III and ended up doing the Patriot League instead. But I think for a lot of what he was going for and showcasing throughout that book is a lot of what I'm trying to do here. There is a lot of tradition and history within these schools in Division III, and so that was kind of the initial thought. And then as the years went on, I got more to Division III on a national level. I became more and more interested in pursuing this to showcase, these great rivalries that we have. We have Hope Calvin and Pomona Pittsburgh Claremont Mudscripts and just so many others, along with, fantastic coaches and student athletes and programs and great elite academic institutions. So, I think a lot of what he was going for and wrote about in that book, The Last Amateurs, is going to be found within my book, similar elements and qualities to it.
I am so glad you pointed out The Last Amateurs, because that bugged me to no end, and that is the polite term I'm using for air here when that came out. Because also, among so many things, was living in the Washington, D.C. area. He is a Washington Post reporter. That's where he made his name. And to say that the Patriot League is somehow the Last Amateurs just because, they don't give scholarships for basketball, when you've got this whole thing called NCAA Division III that is the actual amateurs. I appreciate. Thank you for picking up that mantle. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. That has bugged me for literally 20 however many years. What are you going out to see? Obviously, you're here. I know you're talking to some of the coaches who are here. You've mentioned a couple of really good rivalries. As you're in your travels for this, where are you going? What are you looking to write about?
Yeah, so I'm going to use the kind of this year and next season right now to see how many different places I can get to across the country. The goal is to have a balance between the men's and the women's sides, showcasing the great programs on both sides. So yeah, moving forward, I'm in mid-January. I'm going to be up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, seeing some MIAC and WIAC basketball there, right. Or WIAC, however you prefer.
Oh no, WIAC.
However you prefer it.
WIAC.
WIAC is what I've been told the correct pronunciation of that. But yeah, then Hope Calvin at the end of January, and,
nice.
and really, really excited to see that rivalry unfold. Also, we'll be at NYU Rochester and get over to Nazareth as well in early February. Going to be at the NCAA tournament, obviously, and some other places. Notably, Cabrini's final game there on February 16th will be another one that I'll be at. Just again trying to get into these different places to showcase the stories, right? It's the basketball, but it's so much more than that. And I think that's going to be the goal in writing this, is to make it interesting for someone who is very new to Division III, but also someone who's been following it or coaching it for a very long time.
Talking with Riley Zayas here at the half, 36-31. Number 10 Trinity leading Framingham State. All right, so you talked about NYU Rochester. That's a Friday night game, right? Okay, good. Those Friday night games in the UAA are amazing. Louis Alexander Palestra is a great place to watch a basketball game. I'm excited to hear about this as it unfolds and to watch it. So you say you're talking about kind of doing your reporting for this, for lack of a better term, over this year and the next, and then what does this production cycle look like these days? Ebook, right? Probably. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's good. Probably ebook, as well as the goal is to have print. I think right now the thought is, in a lot of ways, I want to do a season inside type of book. So there will be a little bit of a chronological element to it, but at the same time, I'm going to be pulling in some bigger topics, right? So like the UAA, I've gotten the chance to talk to a lot of UAA coaches already, and certainly will moving forwards. There's going to be multiple times where I pull in different interviews and conversations, right, to talk about something and showcase it maybe through a game or two, but highlight a bigger topic within Division III. So, I think over the next 2 years, the goal is to start the writing process of it and hopefully have that wrapped up shortly after I finish next year, and seeing as many places as I can. Again, the goal is to get to different parts of the country and really give a complete look at Division III rather than just a geographical 1 or 2 regions perspective, right? And that's a big thing for me in the approach to this whole thing.
That's awesome. I look forward to how it turns out, what it looks like. In the interim, where can people find your writing? Where do they follow you on social media, that sort of thing? Yeah,
so I'm on X, Twitter, at Zayas Riley. I also run the scoop on D3 Women's Hoops. You can find that on the d3hoops.com Daily Dose blog, and also D3 www.substack.com, kind of showcasing and covering Division III women's basketball on a daily basis. So those are the 2 main places to find me, and I'm tweeting about games every night. So just love Division III basketball, all that it represents, and everything that it's about.
Riley Zayas is an amazing, impressive young man. He's been covering Division III athletics for several years already for a guy who I think is still a teenager. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. 19, just turned 19 in November. So, Pat, I always appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. And, I've talked to several coaches at this event already who have said this is one of the best events they've been to, and I can certainly back them up on that. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad we're able to sit down and talk about this book. It's going to be a cool process, and to see it unfold, I appreciate all the support from everyone, the D3 Hoops community.
Absolutely. I think the community will embrace this. Thanks for joining us. It's Riley Zayas, true to the crew, at Zayas Riley, writing a book about Division III basketball. We'll be back with halftime stats and then get you ready for the third quarter.